Hi folks, welcome back to the channel. So I guess the wait for the Sealion 7 is finally over. Now you're gonna go flex your new ride. But before you do that, I'm going to today share some tips that I found extremely useful when I started my Sealion 7 journey. So just in case we haven't met, my name is Charles, and on this channel I help you guys understand your Sealion 7 better, and hopefully some of this also cross over to other BYDs as well. So with that, let's get started. So the first thing is the sunshades. I actually like this feature on the Sealion 7. In fact, it's one of the main selling points for me. So I'm one of those that actually tends to open the sunshade a whole lot. But one thing I've noticed when I first got it, that every time I go and leave my car and lock my car, and when I come back, for some reason, the sunshade's closed. And I always vividly remember that I've always left it open. To a certain extent, I even asked one of my kids, it's like, did you guys intentionally shut the sunshade just to kind of, mess with me? Then I realized something very interesting. So by default, the car comes with the ability to close the sunshade when you actually lock the car, which I found it really bizarre. I tried looking for the setting within the console to kind of stop that from happening. And then I figured out, actually, the sunshade is actually considered a window. So there is an option on the menu that says that if you lock the car, you close all the windows. So in order for the sunshade to not close and leave open, or as the state was before, you need to kind of disable the feature that when you lock the car, you close the windows. Of course, when you disable that, when you lock the cars, assuming your windows are open, that is not going to close. So that's a quick hot tip. Let's talk about ACC for a while, the Adaptive Cruise Control. I think it's a feature that a lot of us use very often, at least I do. But when I first got the car, I realized that it's impossible to engage ACC without actually turning on ICC first. So in order to kind of use ACC granularly and have it turn on and off or as a standalone, you first need to kind of engage ICC, at least for once. Then you can stop ICC, and after which you can then engage ACC easily. You can engage ACC using the little kind of lever button on your steering wheel. So by pushing it once, you engage ACC just as a standalone. By default, every engagement of ACC increases or decreases the speed by 5. Assuming that you want to kind of have a little bit more granular control of the ACC, let's for example say from 90 you want to get to 89, 88, 87, you can actually do so by holding down the lever and just keep holding it. You don't actually do that single click. Every single click moves by 5, but if you hold it, you get a little bit more granular control. The second way you can actually control ACC directly from your steering wheel, assuming that you don't want to use ICC at all, you can actually disable ICC altogether from the UI. I know of actually many owners that do that because personally, if you haven't checked out my video on ICC, it's still very raw in most cases. So a lot of the owners actually tend to just turn off ICC completely. So if you're one of those, then that button that used to be ICC is now completely dedicated to ACC. The third tip I want to kind of talk about is the video, the 360 video of the car. So I'm not too sure if you noticed this. Every time the video is engaged, say for example, you put on the reverse gear, or you're just setting off as you go, right? When you just start your car, you put it in drive and you move, the video comes on. But when the video comes on, none of the touch controls on the screen actually works. So the video pretty much disables all touch controls on the screen. So for me, the biggest pet peeve is when I just get into the car and start to go. Oftentimes when you get into the car in Singapore, it's a bit warm, and you know what? When you put into drive, video comes on. I want to turn on the air conditioning, I want to change things on the air conditioning, not possible. And it really kind of cheeses me off. So here's the quick hack from me. I will then change air conditioning by using my trusty BYD assistant. Hi BYD.
I'm here.
I'm hot.
Sure, the temperature has been turned down by 1.
I will say something like, hey BYD, increase the air conditioning speed. Or hey BYD, I'm hot. If you want to kind of go drastic, you can tell BYD by adding the word very, and it drops or increases temperature by 3. I'm very cold.
Sure, the temperature has been turned up by 3.
To sidetrack, while we're on the topic of air conditioning, I recently found out that the ambient light also responds to the change in temperature. So if we made it cooler, it actually turns blue, and if it's warmer, it actually turns red. How cool is that? This is one of the most useful BYD commands I've actually figured out on the car itself. So you guys should give it a try. I'm sure you've seen countless videos, even back in the ice days, where somebody's putting petrol in the car, or they have the charger attached to the car, and they've accidentally forgot about it and driven off. So here's an interesting hot tip. Actually, the car, when it's plugged in and charging, you can't actually do any of that. The reason being, the steering lock is completely locked, and you can't engage any of those gears. So it's actually a nice safety feature that the BYD actually has. Still on the topic of chargers, assuming that, hey, for whatever reason, the charger gun is stuck and you can't release it, there's actually a release catch at the boot or the trunk of the car. And you can just pull on it and it should actually unlatch the lock and you can actually pull out the charger. So on the topic of the trunk as well, just in case you ever find yourself stuck in the trunk, there's also an emergency latch to open the trunk. So there is a little cover, you can open it up, inside there's a cable and you can kind of tug on it and you should actually open the trunk. Just before I move on to the next tip, I just want to kind of do a shout out. I know a lot of you guys, watch my content and have left me a lot of comments as well. I truly appreciate that. And if you continue to like what I'm doing and some of this content, do consider subscribing because that definitely helps me out in the longer term as well. So now, back to the video. So the next thing I want to talk about is actually the wallpaper. I get this question a whole lot. People are coming to me and say, hey Charles, how do I actually add and customize my wallpaper? So it's very, very simple. You put your wallpaper into a thumb drive, plug it into any of the sockets in your car, and then go to album and kind of scroll through the thumb drive and you should be able to find the picture easily there. Once you select the picture that you want, you select it and you should actually see an option set as wallpaper and voila, new wallpaper. So that's one very quick tip to actually customize the look and feel of your car. So the next hot tip is, how sometimes we unlock the car and then we go get some stuff from inside the car, we close the door, we walk away, and it's oblivious to us or we completely forgot to lock the car. What actually tends to happen is that the car will automatically retract the door handles. So when we do come back to the car and want to unlock it, then we realize how do I actually get hold of the handle? There's actually two ways to actually unlock the door once the handles have been retracted. The one way, assuming you don't actually have your keys nearby, you can actually press on the little button at the driver's side and it pops the handle out. How convenient. But assuming you have the keys on you, of course you can, lock and unlock the car naturally. But if you want a simpler way, you can actually kind of push the handle a little bit at an angle and grab hold of it and pull. And that should actually pop the door open. The reason why you can't actually press the button when you have the keys near you is that it assumes that you're trying to lock the car door. It's not the perfect design, but yeah, it's a nice workaround. Coming to the last hot tip. This is a pain in the butt for a lot of owners that I've actually spoken to. So this is regarding the rear seats on the center and the safety belt buckle. So by default, what happens is that for whatever reason, it's positioned in such a way, if you kind of struggle and push your way through, that belt buckle might fall through the hole and you may never be able to fish it out. There's actually a quick fix for this. And I think it's by design as well. For some reason, I think when the car was shipped, it wasn't installed properly. So if you look closely at the belt buckle, there's actually an elastic band next to it. What you actually can do is you lift up the elastic band and kind of thread the buckle through the elastic band. If you do that, the belt buckle will never drop into the hole, right? But for whatever reason, like I said, when the car is shipped, the belt buckle is not threaded through the loop. So yeah, that's a really, really important tip that you guys should do. Otherwise, you spend a lot of time fishing that buckle out. Talking about seat buckles, the ambient light also blinks red on the side of the door where the seat belt is actually not buckled in. So what do you guys think of the tips? I hope it's been useful for you as you kind of fidget your way and learning about your new ride. And yeah, just these little things like this definitely makes life easier for you guys, I hope. And as always, thanks for tuning in and I'll see you guys in the next one.